Beginning with alternate nostril breathing. Come into a comfortable seat. Maybe you take a couple of swipes with maybe a tissue or something if you're feeling a little snot. Full breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Close off your right nostril. Breathe in on the left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch at the top. Exhale through the right. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale on the right. Switch and exhale on the left. Inhale on the left. And switch. Exhale on the right. Inhale on the right. Switch. Exhale on the left. 2 more rounds here. Inhale on the left. Switch at the top. Exhale on the right. Inhale on the right. And switch. And exhale on the left. Once more. Inhale on the left. Switching at the top. Exhaling on the right. Inhaling on the right. Switching at the top. Exhaling on the left. Releasing both hands to palms. We move into Kapalabhati. 1 big breath in and out. Inhale halfway and begin. Ten more seconds. We'll move right into Avisara. Deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out. Hold the exhale and breathe in without breathing in. Tuck your chin to your chest. Squeeze your anus. Lock the throat. When you need to breathe, release the belly and then take an inhale. Let it go. Beginning to open the eyes. That is 1 round of the 4 purifications. That last one being the horse lock, all 3 of them together. You can take this as many rounds as you like in your morning practice. For the sake of time today, we'll move right into preparing for our Surya A and B. We'll do 3 rounds of A, 2 rounds of B. Feel free to take a few rounds of cat and cow before or after or in between as you're going. Sometimes just a little bit of a ease into it is what's really nice. So I'm going to take my time a little bit in my tabletop. If you're ready to jump right into your Surya A, go right ahead. It's going to kind of wake up my spine a little bit. Warming up my wrists. Leaning forward, press into all 10 fingertips. Grip the mat and press into the fingers to rock back. Inhale again, rocking forward. Press into all 10 fingers and use that to catapult you back. Again, rocking forward, digging into all of your fingertips. Exhale, rock it back. Come up onto your fingertips, let the forehead melt. Wrists and palms leave the mat. Let the chest get really heavy. Take a big breath in. And let it go. And start to make your way back to table. Flip the palms toward the face, maybe the fingertips back toward your hips. Maybe you do just one at a time if your wrists are feeling somewhat tender today. Tap each fingertip to your thumb just to get that tiny little sensation. Fingertips come out to the sides. Rock here side to side, maybe some circles. Going in both directions. Good. Start to make your way to down dog, hips up and back. And then walk the feet to the top of your mat. Rolling all the way up. And pausing here, collecting the breath. Perhaps you now cultivate your Ujjayi pranayama. Slight constriction in the back of the throat. Structure in the center. A little bit of heat. A little bit of the sound of the ocean. Take 3 breaths. Maybe you can attach a count of 4. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, open your eyes. Inhale, sweep the hands up, look up. Exhale, fold to the earth. Look back toward the back of your mat. Inhale, flat back, long in the spine. And exhale, step back, plank pose and lower to chaturanga or all the way down. Inhale, open the heart, little baby cobra here. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths, nice and steady here. Begin to your fingertips, let the heels get really heavy, tip the tailbone up higher. And let the back of your neck get long and smooth. Chin might come toward your chest. The bottom of your 5th exhale, bend your knees and step to the top of your mat so that your next inhale is a flat back, long in the spine. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, hands to the sky. Exhale, Samasthiti, arms down by your sides. 2 more rounds. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. One last breath, inhale. Exhale. Bend your knees, step or hop to the top of your mat. Flat back on your inhale. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, Samasthiti. Last round on your own. Bending your knees, step or hop all the way up. Flat back on your inhale. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, Samasthiti, moving into Surya B. Inhale, chair pose, look up. Exhale, take your fold. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, step or float back, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog, right foot steps forward. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Remembering all of our modifications we learned in the first week. Exhale, both hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left foot on the pause. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Exhale, chaturanga, take it all the way down. Upward facing dog, inhale, drag the heart through. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Take what you need. Maybe those 5 breaths are in your table. Maybe they're in child's pose. Find that length of your spine, chest pushing back to your thighs. At the bottom of your 5th exhale, that's when you bend the knees, and it's in the pause that you step or hop forward. Nice. Flat back, really good. Exhale to fold. Rise into chair. Nice. Exhale, Samasthiti. One more round, Surya B. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Good, yes. Exhale, downward facing dog. The right foot steps on the pause. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Beautiful. Exhale, chaturanga. Really nice. Open the heart. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward on the pause. Warrior one, inhale. Exhale, take it down, flow it through. This is where you hang out in your down dog for those 5 breaths. Beautiful, Julie. And in these 5 breaths, if you want to take a couple of 3-legged dogs, give yourself a little bit of intuitive movement. Check in with everything showing up on the mat with you today. The breath and the body are starting to talk. They're starting to do this little dance. And then you begin to make your way toward the front of your mat. Flat back on your inhale. Exhale to fold. Yeah, chair pose. And rise up. So, as we learned last week, this is where we start to jump into that sun C, right? All of our standing postures. And we learned a lot about how we can modify them, how we can let them suit us day to day. So today we're gonna skip that whole chunk, which means we're skipping that like crazy, whoosh back and all of the pincha Mayurasanas. and all of those, handstand kick-ups and the options to just play endlessly. And there are still a lot of options in the seated series, though, we're sitting down. And as I was talking about before we started tonight, many, many people believe that this is like the easy part of Rocket because they are seated postures. For people like myself who, don't, it's just more difficult for me, right? Like my anatomy, my knees have stories to tell, my hips have stories to tell, binding is difficult for me. So I use a lot of modifications in this part. So that's why I'm really glad to share it with you guys. First, I will say that in the typical, even, the seated series is a mix of the Ashtanga seated series. And if you'll look at your, if you don't have it in front of you, that's okay. But if you'll look down toward the seated poses and transitions, not only does that look like a lot, but in between every single one of those poses, there is one of these. And I'm using my blocks. There's one of these in between every single one of those postures. Every single one. And they do it much more gracefully, and they don't use blocks. So I'm actually kind of proud of myself there that my feet came through and I didn't just like crash and burn. I don't know why I thought to go for it, but I went for it and I'm proud of it. In case you caught that like fumble, still good with it. So I'm gonna just put out right there a lot of the time in between every single one of these. And in Rocket, we don't do all of these. Some of Ashtanga has some really contortionist almost shapes that, we don't really need this right now, modern ways. But I'll say this is why, especially why I always cue for like yoga bricks, like using a cork block or a hardback book, or just firmer blocks in general, because you're using them a lot under your hands. So in between, I always, if I'm not sweeping back and taking that flow between, I will take it because there's still work to be done. Press in, lift up, maybe cross the feet, and then come on back. Yeah, try it out a couple of times and see, maybe you take the blocks a little higher if you start getting a little braver and, you have, maybe you take a lift, cross, and you're like, maybe I can start walking my feet through. And you start to take it kind of slow and you start to walk them through here and then slowly sweep them through. Yes, that's awesome. Yes. So we'll start to build that strength, and that strength is coming from this connection, right? Like, how in our quick 45-minute Rocket class, we always do the Mula Bandha checkup. That's why. This is that connection between the thigh and the lower core. That's where we work on that. So let's go ahead and just do some Mula Bandha checkups here, just for fun. Ready? And go for it. Nice, let's switch sides. And so here's what I want to challenge you with. Yes. Once you get up there, take it just a tiny step further. So like here I am, and then I'm going to start to round in my upper back. That's that Mula Bandha pulling in and out. And that's where that shoulder strength is coming in, all those dolphin push-ups. Everything is a building block for the next series. And so that's definitely one thing that, Rocket believes, that Ashtanga does right, because all of that stuff that we learn about in the beginning is what helps us build the strength for all this other stuff. So my dream, in case you're wondering, is that I'm building more strength here. All of this core connection to one day be able to maybe bind, right? Right now, I don't really have as much strength. Many people can get by with flexibility and long limbs. People like me with long bodies and short limbs, we got to work a little harder on it. So there's a lot of anatomy that just has to do with it. So if you look at this, I'm going to say all those, like the first 2 rows, that's rocket. After that, it kind of becomes, some of it becomes more unnecessary. So, and I'm just going to run us through each one as the rocket sequence calls for. And like I said, you know how there's rocket 1, rocket 2, and rocket 3. And rocket 3 is really just a combination of rocket 1 and rocket 2. There's some things that are skipped. But so I'm going to run through the seated series of rocket 3. So we've just done our rocket C. We've just done all of our pinches. We've just done, we just did twinkle toes. That's what we just did. Our like favorite twinkle toes up to the top of the mat. We take a flow through, and from downward facing dog, we walk. Let's walk here actually. Let's take it from downward facing dog on our blocks. And we're going to sweep the feet all the way to the top of the mat, bring our hips to the floor. Maybe we walk, 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 walk. Keep the hips high, sweep them through, and lower with control. Dandasana. Rolling a little bit of the meatier bits out so we can root down through our sitting bones. Palms into the floor. Feet are active. Lift up through the crown of the head. Tuck the chin slightly. Mula Bandha. Drawing in and up with the pelvic floor. 3 breaths in and out. In and out. Last one in and out. And then we walk the hands forward, Paschimottanasana, forward fold. Really focus on deepening the crease of your hips. Don't even worry about whether your hands touch your toes or your nose goes to your knees. Think about how deep can you make the hip crease. Get the belly toward the thighs. Breathe in and out. Good. Inhale, flat back. And exhale to release. And we'll reach forward, take the hands now past the toes. Maybe you bend into the knees if it's not happening, but you want to think about getting your wrist creases to your toes so that you can press the toes away. Give yourself a nice upper back stretch. Again, belly to thighs, 3 breaths here. Good, inhale, flat back. And exhale, release. Hands come back behind you. This is our reversed plank. So you can take this as our reverse table or keep the legs straight. And as you squeeze your butt and lift your hips, the soles of the feet come to the mat. You drop your head back, 3 breaths here. Keep squeezing, keep lifting. Your last exhale slowly lowers down. And here's where that vinyasa comes in. Here's all of our jump backs and jump throughs. You can take it as many times as you want, trying to walk the toes. If you're halfway through this class and you're like, you've already done all the suns and all the standing, and you're like, I just want to make it to the end. Which, hey, sometimes that's just the thing, right? And you just want to make it, and that is a big, big deal. So then we just take it here. Hands on bricks, lift up, cross, and slowly lower. Blocks come off to the side. Here is where we come into our Ardha Baddha Pada Paschimottanasana. So, half lotus. Right foot stays extended. On every posture we do, right foot stays extended first. So, your half lotus, left foot comes to the crease of your hip. Say you live in a body where lotus just does not feel good. That's me. If it's you too, you can also just take figure four, ankle over the thigh, right? Flex into your feet, and we take a fold. Three breaths. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to release. And hands to blocks. Maybe you take your flow through, maybe you skip. Just take a little strengthening test. And slowly bring yourself back. Taking the other side, left leg is extended first, right leg crosses over. Sit up nice and tall. This might be a great place to stay with your hand on your foot, feeling really strong, really active, really present. Maybe you fold, maybe you just stay right here. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Hands to your bricks. Take it through, maybe you float, maybe you take it through all the way. And slowly lower down. Right leg stays extended first. This is our half hero pose. So your left foot bends back, heel to the outside of your hip. Knee stays forward. So your knees are still in line. This is a great time to say if you need to sit on a blanket or even a block during any of this, you can just take your blanket and set it underneath you and let it stay there during this whole seated part. So then you inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. 3 breaths. Continue reaching the heart toward your toes. Elbows hug into the sides of your leg so that you can keep that contraction and release. Good, inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Hands on bricks. Maybe you come right into your little flow through from here. Lift it up, step it back, maybe you walk through. You know, every single time, maybe you take it through, maybe you don't. Maybe after that, you're like, you know, I could use a nice stretch, and you take it. And so when you come to hop through, this is one you'll notice a lot. You can actually hop through and just extend your left leg. Keep the right foot behind you. Knee down. Yeah. And then you inhale, rise. Exhale, reach. Folding in. Good, inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. Take a flow. You can see how it gets kind of old, but you can also see how it drops into that sort of meditative flow state, because in between, you're always taking it. And again, feet come forward, hips come down. Now, I'm just gonna be honest and say that like big swing thing that I just did, that ain't it. But what you just did was really good. So, and then we have Janu Sirsasana A and B. Right leg is extended, left heel to the inner right thigh. Inhale, lift. Exhale to fold. And so here is one that often I will find, and you'll find too, that these two postures, they'll do them together without doing the vinyasa between. So I'm going to walk you through it like that. So this is our Janu A. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. And so Janu B is to take that left heel and slide it right underneath you to a place that feels a little uncomfortable, but there is a space right at the base of your pelvis that your heel fits perfectly. And so if you're sitting on something, you might not. So there's like this thing where you lift up, slide that heel back, and sit down. And then you take your fold. This is supposed to be a really, once you're in that state, a really good connection to your root chakra. Dropping in, steadying the breath. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. And we'll take the flow. You might get brave and try the little flow between without your blocks anytime. Left leg stays extended. Right foot to the inside of your left foot. Square your chest off toward your toes. And exhale, fold. Last inhale. And exhale. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, release. Lifting the hips up, sliding that heel right underneath you. And take the fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to release. Taking the flow between. And again, sweeping the feet through. Right leg stays straight. Left foot plants on the mat. Hug the knee in. Left arm reaches up. You're taking the shoulder to the inside of the knee, but don't let the knee just fall out. You're still hugging the knee in. And maybe you take a hold of the foot. Maybe you take a bind. If you have a strap, you can also use that here. Fingertips toward each other. Reach the heart toward the toes. And then maybe you drop the chin to your shin. Steady breath. Good. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to release. And we'll take a twist. Left hand comes behind you, right arm up and over. So we do our Janu Sirsasanas together. We do our Marichasanas together. Yeah. And as we release, we take the flow between. Maybe we skip the flow and we just lift the hips and hug, and lift. And come on back down. Hug the right knee in. Sit up tall. Ground down through your sitting bones. Right hand to the sky. Reach it toward the left toes. Maybe you keep that connection. Maybe you take a bind or a half bind. As you inhale, release. And exhale, come all the way up, take your twist. Right hand behind you, left hand crosses up and over. Good, inhale, start to release. Hands to your blocks. One last little flow through. And by one last, I mean that's not the last one. You just get tired of saying take the flow through, or you skip it. I know, Julie's like, it's not over yet. I promise you, I feel you. I'm there. Often, that's why Rocket is this like, as much as, you know, especially those that know me well, know that this practice is, it's the yang to my yin, right? Like I love the softer, slow stuff. But there comes a time when like you gotta light the fire. And this practice does that for me, and maybe it does that for you too. That's kind of what brings us to it. And then we do Navasana. So regardless of whether you are using blocks or taking that flow between each time, Navasana, we do 3 boats. So there's one boat. Lifting and lengthening. And then we take the hands down, rise up, just crossing the ankles, just to lift. Even those people that take it all the way through, this is just a lift. And then we lower it down right into our boat pose. Good. Hands down, one more lift here. Whew. And back to your boat. And then we take the flow through. Maybe we walk the feet back. Because I promise you this upward facing dog is gonna feel really, really good. Downward facing dog. Inhale high onto your toes, bend the knees, and hop your feet to the top of your mat or to your blocks. Sit down to your hips. And here's our Asasana. It's our twisted bind. It's also where I like to play with side crow. So, get a little warm up here. So, this is where the arm balance starts to come in. When you're already exhausted, and then they're like, hey, let's just play on the hands. So in our Pasasana, we might just be taking a twist, right? Keeping the knees in line. You may come into side crow, though, let's say it first this way, drop the knees over to the left, because remember we always start on the right. Twist to the right, hands down, and now our hands are framing the front edge of our mat because we're going to go into side crow. Shifting forward. Maybe the toes come off, maybe they don't. And then we take another flow between, maybe we jump the feet back. Upward dog. Downward dog. Big breath in. Open up, exhale, let it go. High onto the toes, bend the knees, step or float, top of the mat. Flat back, inhale. And exhale, this time the knees go to the right so that you can twist to the left. Hands down. And side crow. Now, side crow is often one of the first arm balances that people start to believe that they can get because it's nice and low to the ground. Then you get to cheat with your hip on your elbow. then you take it back. Step, hop, or float to the top of your mat. Nice. We're gonna take a pause there, see how you feel. You can unmute yourself in chat if you want, or you can just type in the chat.
I just find a sense of humor to be so helpful.
It really is. And this practice definitely makes sure that we keep a sense of humor with our yoga practice, because when it comes down to it, it's just yoga, you know, like
right.
It's fun, but it's gonna challenge. Is there anything, like, how do you feel with your side crow?
Yes, not even close. Yeah, nothing's coming off the ground. But well, that's where you start.
It is where you start. And really make use of those chaturanga elbows. The hip, resting on that back elbow, is a really nice little cheat. I mean, once you start to feel stronger in it, then the hip is not on that back elbow anymore.
I just need to build up a lot more strength in the whole upper body. There's it's nothing there. So it'll come or it won't. It's all good.
That's absolutely the best way to look at it. It'll come or it won't.
Or not.
Or maybe it'll come and something else will go.
Yeah.
All right. So next, we have all of our little flying birds. So we have that side crow, and there are options to, once you kind of get flying, there are options to start extending legs, maybe switching them. So then you start to see, I'm kind of like nervous to try it because it's been a while since I've done it, but I'll try it just to kind of show you maybe what you could work towards. Because say you have, let's see, say you have side crow, and you start to extend that left leg back, right leg forward. And obviously your back foot would be floating. I'm totally cheating right now. My right foot is like just camped out on the wall, you know? So you could try it like that, using the wall to just get a feel for it. And then that right foot sweeps back, you take another flow. And then we have another seated posture. So they really start to mix them into your arm balances. Step or hop your feet up. And this is our crunchasana. So it's like heron pose. We'll start with the right leg extended, left heel is just outside of your hip, just like we've done. Only this time, we pick up that right foot, long in the spine. Lifting up through the crown of the head, nice. And then just try to keep drawing the heart toward the foot toward the heart, and then both rising up. And so this is a fun transition into another arm balance that I'm just gonna talk through kind of quickly. Flying half crow. So you lower the foot down, and then here you are, you're hugging that right knee in. Maybe you hang out here and take another twist. If you want to play on your hands again, then you're gonna rock it forward. Right tricep, really the right elbow and that right knee are gonna just become best friends. So both hands come down, you extend your left leg back, hug the right heel to your glute, start shifting forward. Maybe the left foot floats, and then you take another flow between. Ideally, you get that left leg all the way up. Bend your elbows. You can even take blocks underneath your chest for support. Kind of just to get the idea of what feels right. It's a really interesting, hug your heel into your glute. Yes, that's cool. See, it's like a weird funky thing where you're like, elbow is on my knee, but really it's my knee on my elbow, right? It's kind of like a mind game. And then all of a sudden you have this leg back here that's like, what do I do? And then you have to use that glute hamstring to start sending it up and back. And then you take another flow. And then we come on through. And so that side crow again to the other side if you wanted to try with it. Hands down. Shifting in. And then maybe flowing through.
Yay!
Thank you. Did you see that? There was like an inch between my foot and the floor.
I did. You were there. You were so there.
Left leg comes forward. And here's where we're going to pick up the left foot. Find your breath and your drishti, right? Like, what's your focus point? What are you looking at? That one point, the immovable point, that is also not really anything at all. And then as you lower the foot, maybe you take a little twist. Maybe you hang out in the twist and just get real juicy with it. Maybe you rock it forward. Step the right foot back. Bending. Hug the left heel in. Maybe you take a flow through. Maybe you take a break in down dog. And then we have one last arm balance. And this one, okay, so crow pose was my first arm balance love. This pose was my second. Asta Vakrasana, 8-angle pose. So I'm just gonna face you. Left leg goes out long, right leg hugs in, let's rock the baby. So your foot, right foot goes into the crook of your left elbow. The knee goes into your right elbow. And you just sit up really tall, rock the baby. Maybe you're going side to side, maybe you're kind of going in circles, really loosening up the hip. There's another like fun little controlled articular rotation here in this shape. So then you take it and release, right hand goes underneath. And then just squeeze and then release. Press the heel as far away as you can. So there's this like nice hamstring stretch that happens there, and it's a strengthener at one. Just again, just kind of keep squeezing and releasing. And so this is a great place to stay, especially if you're in a rocket class and they're moving on to the arm balance and you're like, you know, I'm taking it easy. This is a great place to stay, kind of working around in this hip. If you're going in towards the arm balance, then you're going to take the knee, slump it up over your shoulder. You really want to get that arm underneath, like it's a backpack, as high up on your shoulder as you can. Palms stay down. Squeeze the calf to your upper arm. Don't let it go anywhere. And then you take the left foot, right foot goes into the crook of your left elbow. The knee goes into your right elbow. And then you just kind of lift the hips. You might stay here. You might cross the left ankle over the right. And then as you shift forward, your chest lowers, elbows bend, legs squeeze out to the side. 8 angle pose. And so I say this was my like second arm balance love because you're so close to the ground already, it's less scary. So it's just a place to play and just kind of see. We're gonna skip the little flow between on this side, if that's okay with you. Thought it might be. So right leg extends, rock the baby. Left foot in the crick of your right elbow, and then reach it around. So here's a place too that you'll find the back really wants to kind of round out here. And it might feel okay, but you're not gonna get anything out of that. So the taller you can sit, the more you're gonna be able to stretch and strengthen into your hips, your hammies, your outer hips. The sensation is gonna get a little more juicy. Rocking the baby. And then hug it underneath. And so then we're just squeezing and then flex the foot, reach the heel away, release. Squeezing and release. And again, you might just stay here. Or you take it and you slip it up and over. You know, maybe it doesn't go so high and that's totally fine. And actually, quickly, let me say, I used to try to practice this with blocks, right, to get more lift because that's what works in my other arm balances. But it's a lot harder because you have to get up onto the blocks. So you just kind of do this rolling forward action. So get it on up in there, take it out, squeeze the leg. So if you let go of the foot and the leg just drops down, squeeze harder or get stickier pants. And we'll just lift the hips. Maybe that right foot flips, maybe not. Cross it up and over. And shift it forward. Squeeze the thighs. And slowly lower. Yay, you made it through the seated postures.
I actually got my hips off the ground, at least. That was all. But at least the big ass came up off the ground.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. It's so funny how one side will be like, no way. And then another side is like, I can fly like an eagle. You know, it just is, it's amazing. So that ends the seated postures. And then we move into our belly down back bends, which we can do a couple of here just because I think they feel really, really, really nice after after all of that binding and pressing and rounding and lifting. We'll take one little vinyasa here. Grabbing our blocks. You know, and I have friends who practice Ashtanga and they use those little like weights, like dumbbell weights, and they just use them here so that they don't have to worry about their wrists and they can just, so that's a really great thing to remember too. So take it through. Downward facing dog. Roll forward to your plank pose. Come up off of your blocks. And then slowly lower your belly to the mat. Take a moment here, really kind of shimmy into the hips, give yourself some more space. And we'll do 2 rounds of locust pose. So reach the arms down and back, palms to the mat, chin to the mat. Press the tops of your feet into the mat, heels together, toes together. Squeeze the legs. And as you inhale, everything lifts. Lift the chest, spread the front of your chest. Lift the feet. Try to get your thighs off of the mat. Squeeze your butt. Soften your belly. One more breath in. Exhale, lower down. Maybe a little shimmy shake of your hips. Second round. You can do what we just did. Or take the hands back behind your hips, interlace the fingers. Palms toward each other. And inhale to lift. Squeeze the heels toward each other. Reach your fingers toward your toes. Lengthen through the back and the sides of your neck. Breathe in. And exhale, slowly release. So maybe windshield wiper of the legs here. And then keep the knees bent. Reach back with your fingertips toward your heels. And now this is a place where oftentimes you want to be able to think about what your options are. And so your options are really nice, especially here. You can just not touch the feet. You can just lift through the chest, maybe even flex, hyperflex your heels, reach back toward, and really feel the strengthening nature of your back. All of the posterior chain starting to connect and thrive. Slowly lower legs to the mat. Another option with that one is, obviously, if you want to grab for the feet, go for it and just kind of let everything rise. But another great option is to play with your strap here. This can be a really, really like yummy stretch with your strap. And of course, right now I say that, but I cannot find my strap. I thought I had it. But if you have your strap, take it around the front of your ankles and then really flex into the feet so that you're holding onto the strap. Take your hands up overhead and then start to reach. And actually, this is a really cool, really hard stretch to do even without your strap. You learn something new every day. Yeah, take your time, just kind of play around with it. Give yourself enough time to think of your options. Yeah, and if your strap is long enough, try to take your elbows out overhead. Yes. And now take the hands up this way. Ooh, that looks like it feels so good. Breathe. Notice how that is helping keep you in a really nice integrity with your alignment. Your knees are staying closer to each other. You're getting more openness in your upper back too. Yes. And then we'll release. Take your palms underneath your forehead. Bend into the knees, little windshield wiper here. Good. Hands underneath your shoulders. That was kind of like a little break, right? So we have another vinyasa, some more hard stuff here. Press on up to your plank. Downward facing dog. Big inhale. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. High onto your toes, bend your knees and step or float to the top of your mat. Flat back on your inhale. And exhale to fold. Lower your knees to the mat. Here is where we play with our headstand and or crow and tripod. So with our crow to tripod, you might use your blanket underneath your forehead or underneath your head just to give yourself a little padding. Crow, we've already done it a few times, not tonight, but in this practice, we will have done it at least 3 times. So this time it's just coming in and then slowly lowering the head down. And if you're still working on the lower, you can start from the ground up. Plant your palms, take the top of your head down, keep your shoulders rolling away from your ears, and the elbows pulled in toward the body. Lifting the hips, 1, and then 2 knees up on the back of your triceps. You might stay here. You might start to roll toward the front of your head and press into your hands, lifting the head off of the mat towards crow. Yes. Yeah, it starts, once you start that little rolling action, you start to have to press really into your hands and then wrap the elbows in. Yeah, try it one more time. Give yourself, yeah, and you can even take the feet up if you feel really nice and strong there. Gorgeous. Press into your hands. Yes! So close. And then from here, we take a nice little camel pose, come up onto your knees. And the nice option with camel is to come to a wall. And keep your hands planted on the wall as you start to drag, like lift just the heart up toward the ceiling. So you're feeling the groundedness. Lengthen the tailbone down toward your knees. And you're lifting, you're like gripping your hands to the wall. Maybe if you're ready to drop it open, you take the hands toward your feet. Keep pressing the hips forward, depending on the mood of your day. Yeah. When you release, do it nice and slow. Lower the hips down to your heels. One hand to your heart, one hand to the earth. Slightly tuck the chin. Remind yourself in this moment that you are well, you are safe, you are in the flow. It's always my favorite to reground after camel pose because it can be a really vulnerable shape. Maybe take an extra breath there. And slowly release, walk the hands out, take a little child's pose, forehead to the mat, lengthen out through the spine. Hips stay really heavy. And let's gently make our way to pigeon pose. We're just gonna kind of breeze through our pigeons and then move right into Shavasana. There's a few other shapes that we could kind of play with here, but those we can play with next week. So let's just set up your pigeon. Maybe you like it with the extended pigeon. Maybe you lengthen it down. Maybe it feels really good after that practice. Maybe you want to take it on your back, which is another great option. In which case, right leg, ankle crosses over the left. You thread the hands through. Take a few breaths here. Calm, gentle, present. And then as you release, you'll switch sides. You can take a little vinyasa between. If you're on your back, you can just stay on your back and gently switch to the opposite leg. Allowing the left knee to bend, left shin parallel to the front edge of the mat. And you just lay it down. Surrender the all. And slowly begin to release. You'll just sweep both feet around. Start to come on down to your back. Maybe passing through any last shape that kind of feels ritualized in the end of your practice. Maybe that's happy baby. Maybe one last twist would do you right. You're ready to just kind of lay it all out and do that. Sometimes switching things up is necessary. If you're twisting, switch to the other side. Eventually, let yourself lay long. Let the arms come down by your sides, legs long. Each foot has its own corner of the mat. Body might be buzzing here, like it's full of bees. Or maybe it's buzzing more like a gentle hum. Reconnect to your breath. In and out through your nose. Give yourself permission in this moment to be all that you are, every last bit of you, every person that you've ever been in your life, or role that you have played, everything big or small that has led you to this moment right here. Honor that. There are no mistakes when we look back. And then begin to deepen your breath. Allow yourself to gently wake up, wiggling into your fingers and your toes. Rock the head side to side and eventually start to curl up onto your favorite side. Pausing there for just a moment and then pressing into your hands to lift up into a seat. Collecting your palms together in front of your heart. Bow your chin to your chest. Honoring the light of your heart. Honoring everything that you thought you knew. And everything that is still in your becoming. Thank you so, so much for being with me and practicing with me tonight, having a fun time and a little bit of a sense of humor because it's just yoga. Um, Shanti. Yes.
Thank you so much.